I came across a quote this week that stopped me in my tracks. An early Bitcoin investor, someone who got into BTC way back in 2013, said something pretty wild about XRP. He claimed that if you're holding XRP right now, you're not just early, you're about to retire your entire bloodline. Retire your entire bloodline. That was pretty crazy. That's a pretty bold statement, at least a pretty bold way, I should say, to say generational wealth, right? Naturally, I had to find out, is this just overhyped hopium, or is there something genuinely big here that is brewing with XRP? So, it's story time. I'm scrolling through crypto news and Twitter, and I see this comment from a guy named Pumpius. Now, Pumpius isn't just some random moon boy. He's actually someone who has brought Bitcoin, at least bought it, about a decade or so ago and rode that rocket ship. And he is now eyeing up XRP as the next big thing. So when a crypto veteran like that basically says XRP could make you and your entire family fabulously wealthy, my eyebrows shoot on up. Now, I did a double take here. Retire my entire bloodline. Did I actually read that right? It sounds a bit like the kind of thing that you would hear in a late night infomercial or some kind of meme thread. But it did get me thinking. What if there was a kernel of truth here? What's happening with XRP that has seasoned investors speaking in such extremes? So, before we dig any deeper, I want to address something up front, because I know talk of massive gains can make people a bit irrational. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so with that reality check out of the way, let's get into this. Why is someone like Pumpius so bullish on XRP right now? So to understand that, we need to look at the bigger picture. And you've probably noticed that crypto, in general, can deliver some life-changing returns at the speed that you don't see in traditional markets. Now, in the stock world, doubling your money might take a year or 2 years or maybe even 5. In crypto, a coin can 5x or 10x in just a matter of months during a bullish run. Now, of course, the reverse is also true, isn't it, in bear markets? Volatility, it's a double-edged sword. Now, that volatility is exactly why early Bitcoin adopters made fortunes and why people like Pumpius are always hunting for the next big payoff. So, here's the deal with XRP. Here's a quick recap. XRP launched in 2012, a few years after Bitcoin, and it's now over a decade old, right? A lot of people look at that and they think, man, I missed the boat. If only I had bought XRP when it was a fraction of a penny. Now, I do get it. Hindsight is 2020. Now, for context, back in August of 2013, XRP was about half a cent. Literally 0.00587. Now today, it's trading at around $2 and some change. That's a mind-blowing 32,000% increase from those early days. Now, if you had the magic foresight to put $1,000 in back then, well, you'd be sitting on something like $320,000 right now. That's not too shabby, is it? But honestly, who among us actually did that? Very few. Most of us discovered XRP later, maybe after the 2017 run, or even more recently. And sometimes it feels like we're a little late to the party. Pumpius is saying otherwise. He believes at the current prices, XRP is still early in its journey. And he is not alone. Right, I've seen other well-known XRP community voices echoing that particular sentiment, basically telling holders, you're not late. In fact, you are early. Now, Pumpius just took it to a whole nother level, didn't he, with that Bloodline comment of his. Now, his exact words were, you're not just early, you're about to retire your entire bloodline. Now, when I heard that, Part of me kind of laughed out loud, and part of me got a bit intrigued. It's a huge, huge claim. It implies that what's coming for XRP could be so big that it doesn't just set you up for life, it could set up your kids, your grandkids, and maybe their kids too. So just imagine that for a second. It's kind of like the crypto equivalent of winning the Powerball. Now, I'm a storyteller at heart, but I'm also a bit of a realist here. Big promises are usually hiding big assumptions, right? So I started digging. Why does someone like Pumpius think that XRP could create generational level wealth from here? What is happening right now that could justify such confidence? First off, Ripple, the company that is affiliated with XRP, has been making some pretty powerful moves lately. Now, over the past year or two, Ripple went on an acquisition spree and partnership spree too in the traditional finance world. They've bought up companies, for example, crypto custody firms and infrastructure startups, and struck deals amid and integrating, or at least aimed, I should say, at integrating XRP into the global finance scene. Just recently, Ripple's CEO Brad Garlinghouse came out and essentially said, hey, remember, XRP sits at the center of everything that Ripple is doing. So let that sink in then. The guy in charge is reaffirming that XRP isn't just some side project, it's central to their entire strategy. Now, that statement was basically directed at the naysayers who thought that Ripple might abandon XRP in favor of other ventures. But no, XRP still is the star of the show for them. You see, this is rather important because it signals that Ripple is doubling down on driving XRP adoption. So think about it. Ripple's been working with banks, remittance companies, and payment providers for years to use XRP via their on-demand liquidity platform, RippleNet. Now, for, of course, cross-border payments. Now, if XRP truly sits at the core of all of their new acquisitions and their partnerships, it means more use cases, more demand, and more value flowing through XRP's ecosystem over time. The second big thing is the institutional interest in XRP has absolutely exploded recently. And this isn't just speculation either. We have concrete examples. The first ever XRP exchange-traded fund, ETF in the United States just launched. In fact, multiple XRP ETFs are launching. A company rolled out an XRP ETF, and within 6 days, it has attracted over $300 million in investment. 6 days, $300 million targeting XRP. That is serious money, and when it comes in fast, then, that's pretty decent. Then you've got Bitwise, a big name in crypto asset management, launched their own XRP ETF on November 20th, and in just 2 days, it pulled in $116 million. So together, we're looking at over $400 million flowing into new XRP, or at least into new XRP investment vehicles in under just a week. Now, guess what? Other huge asset managers are also lining up to launch XRP funds in the coming weeks too. This is a rather massive shift. A year or two ago, you wouldn't have imagined the United States institutions piling into XRP like this, especially with that long SEC lawsuit cloud that was hanging over it. But things have changed. The legal uncertainty around XRP has cleared up an awful lot, as evidenced by these ETFs getting the green light and all. And now Wall Street wants in on the action. Why does that matter? It's because institutional inflows can be an absolute game changer for the price. It's one thing when us retail investors on crypto exchanges try to drive the price up. It's another when pension funds, hedge funds, and ETFs start buying and holding an asset. Right? We are talking big volume, long-term holds, sticky money that doesn't just gonna do some kind of day trade in and out. Market commentators are already speculating that all of this ETF and institutional demand could send XRP's price soaring. We've heard analysts tossing around targets in the kind of $10 to $13 range for this next bullish cycle. And that was before the ETF news was fully digested. To put that into perspective, $10 to $13 would be roughly a 5 to 6x from where XRP is right now. For a top 5 cryptocurrency like XRP, that is relatively huge. But it's also not unheard of. We saw Ethereum do about a 5x in the last bull run, for example, without any ETFs. But it's a major move for a larger cap coin, isn't it? Pumpius, however, is actually looking way beyond the typical analyst targets. He's publicly talking about $100 XRP. Yeah, you heard that one right. A 3-digit XRP price. Now, in fact, a few months ago, he warned that most investors will miss out on the ride to $100 because they won't believe that it could ever happen. So they'll sell just too early or sit on the sidelines. Now, $100 is a pretty eye-popping figure, isn't it? Now, if you hold a decent bag of XRP, go ahead and just imagine. At $100 per coin, how much would you actually have? Now, for some people, it would literally be tens of millions of dollars, right? We're indeed talking about the possibility of generational wealth for early believers. But let's not get too dreamy without asking some tough questions too. Could XRP realistically hit $100? Let's break it down. $100 a coin, given XRP's total supply, which is in the order of 100 billion tokens, with roughly half of that circulating, we would be looking at a market cap in the trillions of dollars, roughly $5 trillion if 50 billion XRP were out there valued at $100 each. $5 trillion would make XRP more valuable than Apple, more valuable than Microsoft, more valuable than any company on Earth right now. So the question is that possible? Maybe in a distant future where XRP underpins a huge chunk of global finance, cross-border transfers, remittances, or central bank settlements, right? And billions of people are using it. Even if indirectly, of course. Now, it's a kind of scenario where XRP isn't just a cryptocurrency, it's a essential backbone of the entire financial system. Now, I'm not going to say that that's going to happen tomorrow, or even in maybe the next decade, but thinking in those terms, it helps explain why some people like Pumpius are so bullish. He might believe that XRP's technology and Ripple's strategy will eventually capture a gigantic slice of a multi-trillion-dollar market, like global payments. And if that does come true, $100 per XRP wouldn't be so crazy. However, that is a pretty big if, and it would take years for that kind of adoption and maybe multiple bull cycles to really get there. There is another side to this argument for $100 per XRP, and that is supply-demand metrics, because we have seen multiplier effects when it comes to dollar inflows versus the actual market cap. In the flash crash that we saw in October, where XRP had plummeted to $1.25, we actually saw $100 million come in, and it added over $10 billion to the market cap. So the multiplier effect is quite dramatic at times. Now, if we were to be conservative about it, we could see a rather small amount of capital inflows from ETFs actually have a huge effect to the market cap and thereby the price. I think we're going to see more of that than we are the adoption side, or maybe some kind of combination of both. The ETFs driving significant inflows, $5 to $10 billion, for example, could actually push the price up to pretty significant heights if the supply remains low. Now, for a more grounded short-term or short to mid-term kind of view and what that might be, let's see if XRP can actually reclaim its previous all-time high of around $3.86 way back in early 2018, right? Then aim for $10 to $13 range and see what happens after that. Right, one step at a time, if you will. Even $10 per XRP would mint a fair few new millionaires, believe me on that one. Now, here is where I stand on this. I'm pretty optimistic about XRP. I've been holding it and accumulating it for quite a while because I like the risk-reward ratio. But I also keep my expectations realistic and my strategies quite practical. I'm going to hope for the best, but I'm going to prepare for the worst, if you know what I mean. Now, on the preparation side, there are a few things that I've been doing that I think every crypto investor should probably consider. Now, one, as exciting as these huge predictions are, don't forget the basics of protecting your assets. So if XRP is supposed to fund your retirement and maybe your kids too, then the last thing you want to do is to lose it to a hack or an exchange collapse, right? Well, that means self-custody. Now, I cannot stress this enough. Not your keys, not your crypto. It's a cliche at this point, I know, but it is true every time. Personally, I keep my long-term crypto holdings, including XRP, on hardware wallets. I use, personally, Ledger Stacks devices like these. And yes, I have 4 of these ones to make sure that I am fully protected. I use Ledger devices because I like them. They keep your private keys offline and away from the internet bad guys. And if you're serious about holding for the long haul, then you're going to get yourself a hardware wallet. And please, buy it directly from the manufacturer. Right? I've heard horror stories of people trying to save just a few bucks by buying one from a third-party site like eBay or Amazon and actually ending up with a tampered device, and they lose all of their crypto. It's just not worth it. Don't risk it. I actually have a link on my website that goes straight to Ledger's official store. Yes, that is an affiliate link, which means if you do use it, it actually supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. So I want to say a big thank you to anyone who does use that. But regardless of how you get to the official store for Ledger, just make sure that it is the official store, right? It's kind of like buying a safe for your gold, except the gold in this case is digital. Now, another thing that I do here is have multiple plans for liquidity. So picture this, XRP, it starts shooting up. Let's say it hits $5, then $7, then $10. You might want to cash out a portion, right? Or maybe you want to swap it for another crypto that hasn't rallied yet. Or maybe you just want to rebalance things out. Now, during those kind of frenzy times, exchanges, they can get overloaded or temporarily lock up withdrawals. Now, I've seen it happen in past bull runs. Heck, remember a few years ago when a certain exchange halted XRP trading altogether during the SEC lawsuit scare, yeah? Well, you don't want to have all of your eggs in one exchange basket when volatility strikes. That's why I have accounts on multiple different exchanges. Basically, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and I went through the whole KYC verification on each of them well before I needed to. Now, I tested small trades or withdrawals on each to make sure that I know how they all work and that they actually do work. Now, this way, if exchange A does go down or freezes up right when I need it the most, I can just hop over to exchange B or exchange C and not be stuck in the mud. Now, it's kind of like having multiple exits in a building. You hope that you're never going to need an emergency exit, right? But it's sure nice to know that they are there. Now, if you're not sure which exchanges to trust, I can share what I use. On my website that's linked in the description down below, I list a whole bunch of exchanges that I have personally vetted and use myself. And yes, those links to those exchanges are affiliate links, which means if you do sign up through them, it actually supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. But more importantly, they're options that I have found reliable. For example, one exchange that I've partnered up with recently is Kraken, and they actually have a pretty sweet promotion going just for new users. So if you use my link that's also in the description down below to sign up for Kraken and trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency that's excluding a stablecoin within 30 days of opening your account, Kraken will credit you with $25 in XRP for free. It's basically a buy $100, get $25 free kind of deal for XRP. Now, it's not a bad way to boost your stack just a bit. And also, you end up with another exchange account ready to go. This is a win-win situation. Just be aware though, this is a limited time offer and you're going to need to complete their verification KYC to qualify too. Now, I do have all of the details and terms and conditions linked in the description down below, and it's important that you do pay attention to all of that fine print because not every jurisdiction is going to be eligible for this particular promotion. And it has all of the other details that you need to know too. And to be totally clear, that is, of course, through my affiliate link that's in the description there. So it does reward the channel here as well. That is full transparency right there. It's probably also worth noting that this is a promotion that Kraken is bringing to you guys. It is not affiliated with YouTube or CheekyCrypto in any way. Okay, so along with trying to make sure that I have my assets protected off of an exchange and that I have multiple exchange accounts open, there's something else that I've been doing on the side. That is trying to earn additional XRP passively. Now, how does all this tie back into XRP and our quest for generational level wealth? Well, it's just an example about how I try to diversify my crypto income streams. Now, I've spoken about something called Unity nodes in many of my previous videos, and I did go ahead and buy a Unity node license, which basically gave me the ability to run 200 smartphones on this network that actually allows me to earn passively. Now, don't worry, I'm not setting up 200 phones in my house all at once. My wife would probably kill me, and my electricity bill would probably be insane too. But what I am doing is I'm starting rather small here. I've got 10 phones as a bit of a pilot test to run the Unity app and to see how much they actually generate me passively, right? And I want to know how much can these Unity nodes actually earn? Is it worth all of the effort? And the cool part is that you get paid in various different cryptocurrencies as a reward. Now, I plan to take my payouts in BTC, Ethereum, ADA, XRP, right? Among some others. Why those? It's because I actually believe in stacking more of those solid cryptos over time. And if this ends up generating a steady trickle of income, then that's going to be fantastic. You see, this Unity node venture is something that could quietly accumulate crypto for me in the background. It's kind of like how some people mine Bitcoin or stake their coins, but here I'm actually contributing to a telecoms network, the health, and basically getting paid for it. What it does is it checks to see the quality of your calls, how the signals are, any dead spots, and then reports it all back to the World Mobile blockchain. Now, over a year or two, the crypto that I earn from this, if successful, could actually become another chunk that's added to that financial freedom pile. And it's kind of like, is it going to make me rich overnight? Probably not, right? I would say probably absolutely not. But what it's going to do is it's going to help build passive stacks over time. It's just an example of opportunities that are out in the crypto world beyond just buying and holding a coin. If you are curious about Unity, like I was, I'm going to put some links in the description below for the light paper, the rewards calculator, so that you can see and check it all out for yourselves. As always, you've got to do your own research before jumping into any project like this. Anyway, I just wanted to share what I'm doing here because it's a part of my overall strategy, right? Make sure that I have hardware wallets, make sure I have lots of accounts on different exchanges, make sure I have diversified my income streams, right, when it comes to crypto. And of course, being early in things usually has an advantage too, not putting all of your eggs in one basket. So Unity Nodes is especially cool to me because it's founded by credible teams and is based on or it isn't based on hype or inflationary rewards. It's actually providing a real service to telecom companies and is paying operators from that revenue. Now, the concept of Unity isn't brand new to the channel either. Many of you guys have heard me talk about it in previous videos, so now you can know that I'm actually testing it in practice. Okay, let's bring this back to XRP, the star of today's show. What does all of this mean for them, for us XRP holders right now? Well, in short, it means that we might be sitting on a very interesting, or at least at a very interesting spot. The pieces are falling into place, right? Real adoption, efforts by Ripple, regulatory clarity improving, big money is starting to flow on in, and community is more fired up than ever before. Will XRP's price explode like Pumpius predicts? Well, I'm hopeful, but I'm also a bit cautious. I like to expect the unexpected in crypto. Maybe XRP goes to $10 and then needs a bit of a breather. Maybe it shocks everyone and sprints towards $50 or even $100 over the next few years. Or maybe progress is steadier and we all need a bit more patience while the utility and network effects continue to build. Now, all I know is this: as someone who believes in what XRP is trying to do, make global payments, transfers, at least money transfers faster and cheaper, I'm going to stay on the ride, but with my seatbelt fastened and my emergency exits well planned. Metaphorically speaking, of course. So you see, the idea of retiring your entire bloodline makes for a great headline, doesn't it? And it certainly got us all talking here today. But even if that exact scenario doesn't play out, there's a lot to be optimistic about. If you're holding XRP right now, you're basically betting that this technology will play a key role in the future of finance. And there are tangible signs that that bet could pay off, whether it's Ripple's moves, institutional adoption, or new use cases that are emerging. One thing that helps in times like these is staying educated and connected. It's easy to get swept up in the hype or fear that you're just flying solo. That is why that we have a free CheekyCrypto Discord. It's an awesome community where we discuss news like this in real time. We share insights and we help each other separate fact from fiction. Now, if you haven't joined already, definitely hop on in. It's completely free and it might just actually be your secret weapon in navigating the crypto space. And if you want to really level up your skills while we wait to see how all of this plays out, then you can check out the courses over on CheekyCrypto's school at cheekyschool.com. We've got courses on trading, portfolio management, risk management, basically all of the stuff that helps you make smart decisions rather than emotional ones. Now you can use the discount code that I've put in the description down below for 50% off of any of the course. Yeah, half off, just as a thank you for being a viewer of this channel. So the link is in the description down below as well. At the end of the day, my goal is to build sustainable wealth and help others do the same, not by chasing every new shiny object with blind faith, but by staying informed, managing the risks, and thinking long term. XRP could very well be a part of that story if things continue at the current trajectory. Now I'm excited to find out, and I'm going to be here sharing every step of that journey with all of you. So, do I think 500 XRP is all that you really need to be set for life? You know what? I probably wouldn't bank my entire future on a specific number of coins or a specific price target. But I do think having solid conviction in projects combined with good strategy can put you in a position where life-changing money is on the table. And XRP is looking like it could be one of those projects. Time will tell, of course. Whatever happens, I'm glad that we're figuring it all out together. If nothing else, I'll have some great stories to tell down the line, either about how we lived through the era when XRP redefined finance, or how we kept our cool and stuck to the fundamentals when everyone else was losing their mind. For now though, you can do me a favor by hitting that like button and that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, so that you don't miss any of these updates and personal adventures in crypto. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and as always, I will see you all in the next one.